Untap, upkeep, and welcome back to the channel if you've been here before, and if you haven't, then please sit back, relax, and enjoy our show today. Also, thank you all so very much for the wonderful love and support. We are well over 100 subscribers now, just a little bit, like 101, but hey, just the threshold. So from me to you, thank you all so much, and I hope you can keep showing me some love and support. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. So for today, we're going to look at what is essentially a combo sandwich, if you will. We're going to look at one of the OG commanders that helped kind of kickstart everything for the commander format. And I say he's essentially like a combo sandwich because he literally just kind of combos with just about anything given his colors. So let's look at our wonderful friend Ghave. Ghave, however you'd like to say. I call him Ghave, but this is Ghave, Guru of Spores. He's one of the OG precon commanders, and he's the Abzan color pairing, which makes him just, I mean, like I said, he combos with a sandwich, really. Anything that in these color wedges, I mean, if you have a way to make infinite mana or anything like that, you go bananas. And we're going to look at like a slightly modified, more budget version that is going to be used as kind of like a catch-all, or like a good starting point for somebody who's into this color wedge and may not want to play the big bad boogie per se, but can potentially be the big bad boogie. So let's take a look at Ghave, shall we? So for 2 in Abzan, we get a fungus shaman who's got no power, no toughness. Oh no, whatever will we do? Guys, what are we doing here? Well, worry about it. Because when he enters, he has 5 plus encounters on him. Yay, great. We like that. And he has following abilities. Pay a mana, remove a 1/1 counter from a creature you control, not necessarily Ghave, and create a 1/1 green Sepulchral creature token. We can also pay 1, sacrifice a creature, and put a 1/1 counter on target creature. So as you can see, this could be just some interesting shenanigans going back and forth. Obviously, anything that doubles tokens and doubles counters would just be a slam dunk here. Unfortunately, because I'm staying in a budget restriction, most of that's kind of out the window, because you look at things like doubling season, even parallel lives. Oh goodness, what's the other one? Primal vigor, things like that. They're 5, 10, 20. I mean, if you're getting in the home of, doubling season, I mean, good God, that's like 40, 60 bucks, depending on what version you get. So a lot of that stuff is outside of the budget realm, but at the end of the video, we'll go back up here to our EDH rec recommendations, sitting right over here, and we'll kind of go through and see some of the things you can do. It also kind of depends on which line you want to take with the deck. Are you trying to make infinite creatures to like Hoof or Moonshaker everybody? Are you trying to be aristocrats, which is kind of what this deck's looking to do? Are you looking to do some really dumb shenanigans like make everybody mill, so you could do like Altar of the Brood and then Altar of Dementia? So you can literally have like whenever something comes into play, everybody gets to mill, and then you could make like an army, sack them all to the altar, and just like make everybody mill that way too. So you have a couple of little different avenues you can play Ghave here. It just kind of depends on how you want to go with it. We went more aristocrats just because it provides quite a bit of outs. We do have multiple A plus B combinations in this deck to just go even more bananas. So let's just kind of start and we'll see what we got here. We're running a whopping 32 creatures. A lot of the cuts here were quite difficult, honestly. So let's see what we got here. Starting with Basking Broodscale. I love the stupid Eldrazi card. It is ridiculous. So whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on the Broodscale, you may create an 0/1 Eldrazi spawn creature token, sack it to gain life. Or not gain, sack it to get a mana, not life. What am I talking about? It traditionally, we'll go ahead and kind of skip around a little bit on this. He's a combo piece with Rosie Cotton because this is an A plus B. So when you have the brute skill out and you play Rosie, Rosie's going to make a food. And she says, whenever you create a token, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control other than Rosie. So you can see how this is an A plus B combo wombo. So you're going to have brute skill out, play Rosie, she makes a food. She says, hey, you made a token. Where would you like to put a 1/1 counter? You go, hey, I want the counter on my brood scale. Brood scale says, hey, I just got a 1/1 counter. You know what that means? That's right. We are going to make an Eldrazi spawn, and then Rosie says, hey, you made a token. Where do you want a 1 counter? And it just goes back and forth. So that's one of our A plus B combinations in the deck. She is going to be a very big piece in a lot of this, just because of how she works. Like, for instance, another combo piece right here would be the Scurry Oak. It has evolved, so whenever something with bigger power of toughness enters, he gets a 1/1 counter. But that's probably not going to be very relevant. So it's really relevant when the fact that says whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on the Scurry Oak, you may create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. So Scurry Oak and Rosie Cotton is another A plus B combination. So if Scurry Oak's out and you play Rosie, Rosie says, cool, I'm here, I'm going to make a food. Hey, I made a food, where do you want a 1/1 counter? Well, we want to put the 1/1 counter on Scurry Oak. Scurry Oak says, hey, I got a 1/1 counter put on me. How about we make a 1/1 green squirrel? And it goes back and forth like this for a little while. So you can see how these combination of cards are just going to interact. The deck's a little bit complicated, but not horrible. So let's kind of dive into the rest of it before we go much further into the other combinations in the deck. So we have Blood Flow Connoisseur, just a free sack element on a body that can actually put 1 counters on itself, so we can easily keep whatever shenanigans we're trying to do here going. The Bright Cat Badger, absolutely enjoy this card. You can play it for the adventure side to make 2 1/1 green support creature tokens. It also can come in as a Badger Druid that says each fungus and supporting control taps for a green mana. And at the beginning of your end step, you get to make a 1/1 green supporting creature token. So we're able to start pumping out bodies. Canker Bloom, we can pay a mana to sacrifice this guy and do one of the 3 things. Blow up an artifact, blow up an enchantment, or proliferate. Proliferate means we can target any number of things and or players that have some kind of counter on them and add another. So if somebody's close to being poisoned out, we can poison them out. If we've made a deal to kind of like help out somebody with their planeswalker to ultimate it because it doesn't affect us, which I don't see where that would be a bad scenario at all. What could possibly happen from a planeswalker ultimately going off and going ham? One second, that sounds like a horrible idea. But you could proliferate a bunch of different things. -1 counters. So you could target a lot of stuff. Maybe politic a little bit, experience counters or something. Primarily, it's here because it's a body that we can put counters on, and we can take those counters off, and we can even sacrifice it to blow up something. Corpse Knight. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, everybody's going to lose a life but us. We like that because we're planning on making bodies. Cruel Settlement. Whenever it or another creature or planeswalker, which we don't have any, you control dies, everybody loses a life and you gain a life. So here's part of our aristocrat plan. We're just going to back and forth, baby, back and forth. The Good Fortune Unicorn. Whenever the creature enters under our control, put a 1/1 counter on that creature. So if we use Ghave, make a 1/1 supporting creature token, it's going to play with a 1/1 counter on it, so we can already get our game plan up and going. Finehorn and Lindworn Elves, they both are just mana dorks as well as Elvish Mystic. Evolution Witness allows us to bring permanents back from our graveyard, as long as he gets a 1/1 counter on it, which Ghave can easily do. Ellis Ilkor, Sadistic Pilgrim, has Death Touch and is a 2/2, but it says whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, gain a life. Whenever the creature you control dies, everybody loses a life. So it's another one of our little aristocrat pieces. Devoted Druid. We can normally pay a cost of a -1/-1 counter onto the Druid to untap it, and we can normally only do it about twice. However, -1/-1 counters basically get neutralized and go away when you put 1/1 counters on them, and vice versa. So, we like the Devoted Druid in here because we can tap it, make a green, untap it, put a -1/-1 counter on it, tap it again, and we can use Ghave to kind of start doing some shenanigans. It's not really that great in the long scheme of like plans here, but you never know. You might find an interesting use for it. Another combo piece, Ivy Lane Denizen. So for 4 mana, we get a 2/3 Elf Warrior. Whenever another green creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. This is another A-B combination with the Scurry Oak. So you can have Ivy Lane out first, play the Scurry Oak. Ivy Lane sees Scurry Oak enter. It says, hey, you had a green creature enter. Where do you want a 1/1 counter? You say, cool, I want it on the Scurry Oak, and the Scurry Oak is going to make, guess what? A 1/1 green squirrel creature token, and wham bam, here you go, you're off to the races. Kitchen Finks has a wonderful mechanic called Persist, which means if it dies, it's going to come back from the graveyard with a -1/-1 counter. Well, when you got something like Good Fortune Unicorn, you can do this infinitely. So when it enters, you gain 2 life. And if we have one of our sack outlets out here, we literally gain infinite life. That's insane. And we have more than Good Fortune Unicorn to be worried about, people. Boys and girls, women and children of all ages, non-binary folk, we can't be scary. So next up we have Kutsul. I love Kutsul. It's a little bit above the price range at $1.18. I try to keep everything about $1 or so less, with the exception of like Soul Ring and I guess Lightning Greaves, things like that that are considered staples because you can get them very easily. But Kutsul says your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. It shuts down our opponents. It's basically a poor or a budget version of Grand Abolisher, just not quite as good. But Grand Abolisher would be an obvious slam dunk in this if you're doing an upgrade. Like, oh, out. And then whenever one or more creatures you control with power greater than its base power deals common damage to a player, you can draw a card. So essentially, our Suprolings that could be, instead of just 1/1s, could be 2/2s or 2/3s, whatever, with the 1/1 counters on them. Turn them sideways if you can, if you got a free attack. Maybe politic a little bit. Go, hey, I'm just trying to find me a board wipe, man. Don't worry about it. Pop Spirit damage 2. Alright. Did you find one? Yeah. Next turn, go infinite and kill everybody. Lesser Mesticore. Whenever you cast a spell, you have to discard a card. You can pay 4, deals 1 damage to target creature. Don't really care about any of that. All we care about is Persist. So when this creature dies, if it had 0 -1/-1 counters on it, return it to the battlefield under zone control with a -1/-1 counter. Now, that is important because with Good Fortune Unicorn, they're just going to cancel each other out. And wham bam, combo. So we can just start draining the table. Mazarek was just a nice card to add to this deck. It is a legendary insect shaman 2/2 for 5 mana, so 3 and Gary. And it has flying, so we like that. And it says whenever you, player, not just you, a player, sacrifices a permanent, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Each creature. Each. It's insane. That means if somebody sacrifices a treasure, a clue, a food, a Suproli, an Eldrazi, we get way bigger and way scarier, and that is hilarious because it pumps the entire team. Oh my goodness. And with the right cards, you could theoretically go infinite. Rendclaw Crow is just a nice little 2/2 troll with 2 and either black or green for his mana cost. Has Wither, so he'll do damage in the form of -1/-1 counters. We don't really care. He just has persist. He's just another free infinite loop if we need him to. Renata, the called to the hunt, is the same thing as our good fortune unicorn essentially. Whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield, it enters with an additional 1/1 counter on it. Future Goblin is another one of our cheap persist creatures that we just enjoy having in the deck. Morbid Opportunist. So anytime we have a creature die, we get to draw a card. That includes anybody's battlefield at any point in time. So if we had something die, draw a card. If Joe had something die, draw a card. If Leanne had something die, draw a card. If Tim had something die, draw a card. Only on their terms. So we like having the versatility here. Mirkwood Bats is another horrifying thing we can do. So whenever we create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses 1 life. Mentor the Meek. Whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters, we may pay 1 mana, and if we do, we get to draw a card. We already talked about Rosie. Safe Hold Elite is another one of the cheap persistent creatures. That's all it's in here for. We already talked about Scurry Oak. Here's another little 1/1 counter synergy with Sigil Captain. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it is a 1/1, put 2 1/1 counters on it. So we could essentially make white the big army. Utopia Mycon. So if we're somehow starting to produce like a ridiculous amount of sub-rolling creature tokens, which we potentially can, we can just start sacrificing them for mana. Viscera Seer, one of our best free sacrifice outlets. Sacrifice a creature to scry a card. Welcoming Vampire, one of our best card draw capabilities in my opinion. Whenever one or more other creatures with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. Triggers only once each turn. Did you notice Ghave's ability is just a mana ability? And then a cost. Doesn't tap. It doesn't say once per turn. So essentially we could draw at least 4 cards in a table round before we have to worry about anything with Welcoming Vampire out. Another addition to it would be Dokasha's Welcome, but that was just a wee bit out of budget. But if you can get one, especially because it comes in the Abzan Precon, I believe, from Tarkir Dragonstorm, let him dunk, guys. Just, chef kiss. Love drawing cards for just doing what we do. And obviously, Caretaker's Callan and other things. Woe Strider is another free sack outlet. It's kind of essentially the same thing as Viscera Seer. But it has Escape, so we can potentially buy this back a little bit easier. So it's got some versatility. We're not running a whole lot of like board wipes. We're running 3 with Austere Command, Dam, and Hour of Reckoning. I chose to go with Dam just because it is pretty accessible. It did come in a pre-con or 2, so it should be pretty easy to get one, even though it's a little bit above $1. It shouldn't be too hard to get one. It also can serve as just spot removal if we need to. We don't have to overload it. We can just spot removal. So it has a little bit of versatility. Cultivate, Rampant Growth, and Farseek help us ramp into making sure we have enough mana to do what we want to do. Night's Whisper, just a nice, efficient 2 mana, draw 2, lose 2 life. Our instance package is pretty light. We run Mortify, Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshares, Putrefy, Beast Within, and Despark, all to kind of deal with problematic creatures. Harrow allows us to continue our ramp train a little bit, albeit at instant speed. Shared Summons allows us to go tutor for 2 creature cards with different names, which, our commander, most of the time, that's going to be fine. Reveal them, put them in your hand, and shuffle. By the way, this is instant speed, so if we see shields are down, we can just, bam, instant speed win the game with the right tutors that we can go find. Inspiring Call, draw a card for each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. Those creatures gain indestructible until end of turn. And Village Rites, we can sacrifice a creature to draw 2 cards. Next up, our Mana Rocks, which is going to be pretty typical. We have all of the signets, including Arcane Signet. We are also running Commander Sphere, Filwar Stone, Thought Vessel, Swiftus to the Bootus, and a Soul Ring. Pretty simple, pretty basic little mana rot package here, nothing too extravagant. Another win condition is right here with Bastion of Remembrance. When it enters, make a 1/1 human soldier creature token, which we don't really give two doo-doos about. All we care about is whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So this is a nice way to make sure we are keeping up a way that is not as easily dealt with to win the game with our Aristocrats package. Most of the time, people can spot remove something that is a creature, but very, very few things can deal with enchantments in the grand scheme of things because most people don't think about it. I always try to put a little bit in every deck I build. There's at least 1 or 2, sometimes 3 ways to deal with an artifact and or enchantment because I've seen people and myself have run into that problem. So, kind of a little tip there. Facundi, it works for everybody, so whenever a creature dies, that creature's controller may draw a card. You don't have to. So it is nice to have that ability. Probably want to play this when you know you're going to go bananas and start drawing a bunch of cards. Fungal Plots, pay 2 for this enchantment, and then you can pay 2. Exile a creature card from your graveyard. Make a 1 green support creature token. Might need to do that. And then we can always sacrifice 2 Sprawling, gain 2 life, and draw a card. That's at instant speed as well as the first ability. So we have a little bit of versatility with having this enchantment on the battlefield. And I just felt like it's a nice way to kind of sub in for the lack of like obvious really good things to draw cards, such as Caretaker's Talent, Enduring was Innocence, things like that. So we're going to kind of sub in for budget reasons. It still works fine, I think. Hardened Scales, thank God, has actually been reprinted enough that it's stupid budget. You could actually get those in, the new Final Fantasy set or the Merfolk set from Ixalan. Whenever 1 or more encounters will be put on a creature you control, put that many +1 are on it instead, so you can put an additional 1 encounter and just go bananas. Also, we have Moldvine Reclamation, 5 mana enchantment that says whenever a creature you control dies, gain 1 life and draw a card. You notice this doesn't care if it's a sacrifice effect, it doesn't care if it's a board wipe effect, it does not matter. If we have creatures dying, we gain life and draw cards, and we like that. Unless we've been milled pretty hard, then we're just kind of sitting there sweating bullets. Not fun. Not fun at all. Land package is pretty typical. Brushland, Canopy Vista, Caves of Golios, Command Tower, Deceptive Landscape, Evolving Wilds, Murmuring Bosk. Really nice to have that here because it counts as a forest. So you could always go and do like an upgrade for the deck. You could always go grab like I don't know, Verdict Catacombs. And this can actually be got by Verdict Catacombs. Now, it would enter tap, because we don't have a Treefolk card to reveal. But it does give us access to all 3 colors, so it is a nice budget option. Llanowar Waste, Isolated Chapel, a whole bunch of firsts. Field of Ruin, always like running at least one way to deal with an opponent's random, like Ghost Quarter or something. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, go look through my video files, if you will, and you will see I did a pretty decent video about spooky lands in the Commander format that if you've never seen, you need to, because you need to be aware of these. I have seen these, I have fought these, and they are a pain. And it's not a lot, but at least having one way to deal with some kind of like land destruction is very, very good in my opinion. I have basically sworn by it. Exotic Orchard, Path to Exile, whole bunch of plains, whole bunch of swamps, temple, woodland cemetery, and a terramorphic expand. I know that like Rachel Weeks of the Command Zone likes to say, run 38 lands, run more lands, more lands. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not. 36 is my sweet spot for most of my decks. When I'm trying to build them for other people, I run 36. 37 is pushing it. It depends on what the deck is and what it's trying to do. I run as low as like 28 or 30 in like my CEDH level deck. So I have a pretty big gap here. I know I personally run about 36 or 37 in my 5-color Dragon deck. Just because it's big dumb dragons, you need to be able to get mana. Otherwise, I typically honestly run about 34, 35 in most of my decks. That seems to be my sweet spot. I can get mana, I can get mana rocks, I can get dorks. And then I don't typically hit a whole lot of mana pockets where I'm like, land, go. Land, go. Oh, guess what? Land, go. Oh, I'm dead. Oh, look, the next card was going to be something to help me win, like a board wipe or something. Oh, goodness, why didn't I get that? Because I hit a bloody mana pocket. I understand wanting lands to play the game. I get that it's the basis of how we play. I don't like having too much land in the deck, and I've seen it on countless Magic videos I've watched where you're hitting mana pockets, and they're like, well, and we're dead. So sorry for the little rant, but that's just a little bit of explanation as to why I personally don't run 38 or more lands unless it's like a devoted landfall deck. Our colors are pretty what you would expect. We're very green heavy because it has the most way to fix. Splash of white, splash of black, and a kiss of colorless. Opening hands look, about what you would expect. And you just kind of play the deck and decide what you think you can and cannot keep in your meta. The deck itself, I believe, is just brutal. Like I said, Ghave pretty much combos with anything. I mean, put a ham sandwich in here and he combos with it. We've made the deck very 1/1 counter synergy with an aristocrats package to be able to win a game. But if you go up here to EDH Rec, thanks to Moxfield, who is not a sponsor yet, maybe they will be one day, you can click here and you can see the top 100 cards on edhrec.com that people are putting in, such as, a Zulaport Cutthroat, a Skull Clamp to help you draw, Ashnod's Altar to make a dumb amount of mana, Blood Artist. I don't like Blood Artist in this deck just because it targets, it doesn't say each, like everybody. You got your shock lands, of course. You'll have the fetches here a little bit later. Horseshack Menace was nice, but I didn't think we needed to double the 1/1 counters because that's not the route we're going. Pethar's Crusade is a really powerful card. I do warn you, it can be a headache, and you're going to end up taking it out. So play at your own risk. Mycolith, it's okay. If it lives, you're able to generate a stupid army because he can get bigger and bigger with 1/1 counters. Of course, Triumph, Big Bad Dumbling Season, which is still about $25-$30 on that version. Kami can make you a buttload of mana. Nature Swords, better mana fixing. Assassin's Trophy for better removal as well as Anguish on Making. Burp, just because it gives you better mana fixing. Pitiless Plunderer can help you go infinite mana, because every time you sacrifice whenever a creature you control dies, you make a treasure token, so the right card setup, this goes stupid infinite. If you're trying to make like a go wide and go tall strategy, Champion of Lambolt's a nice option. So creatures with power less than the champion's power can't block creatures you control. So you just make champion stupid huge and you just turn your stuff sideways. Some other typical mana sources, better mana, better lands. Chatterfang to help you go really wide. Heroic Intervention to help you protect your board. Parallel Lives. I don't really care for the Spider-Man art here personally, but I am still happy to see it with a reprint because now it's dropped down to just over $15 or so, depending on which version you get. This particular one's $14.66. Aura Shards, if you just want to be a mean person, just start killing things left and right that are artifact and enchantments. Phyrexian Altar helps you make infinite mana with the right setup. I thought this would have been hilarious in this. If you go with the Aristocrat route and you want to put a little bit more oomph behind it, Insidious Roots. Creature tokens you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color. Whenever one or more creature cards leave your graveyard, create a 0/1 plant creature token, then put a 1/1 counter on it on each plant you control. You could actually switch this deck up and go more plant tribal, so you get like Avenger of Zendikar kind of things. And then you can literally just start slamming things with our persist triggers. You could just persist, 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 persist. And before you know it, you have an entire army. The only thing I worry about with that is you would have to do it at instant speed on the last player's end step. That way you have a shot to swing with your army. But still, it's funny in my opinion. Anointed Procession doubles the tokens. It's $42, $43. Tender Dryad makes a 1/1 pulling creature token on everybody's upkeep. And then, when you have the City's Blessing, they all get a +2/+2, making them 3/3s. Mondrak doubles your tokens. It's $30. You can see why they're not included in my deck here. Branching Evolution, again, basically doubles on 1/1 counters. Carrion Feeder puts 1 counter on him and is a free sack outlet. Of course, you have your tutors with, all the game changer tutors available to you to really go find A plus B and just go bananas. So the deck itself has a lot of range and a lot of capability. As you can just see, the deck, it just depends what you want to do. I mean, you can do some horrible things to people if you just want to upgrade it even just a little bit. You put $50 or so in this deck and you're gonna hurt some feelings, and well, all I gotta say is you better hope and pray that you don't feel bad about it, because you're gonna hurt them. You go very Saproling heavy, you go Saproling tribal, Fungus tribal with the deck. That's always good. In fact, I think the original deck was pretty Fungus heavy, pretty Saproling heavy, if I remember correctly. These days, the cards have only gotten better. So it just kind of depends which way you want to take the deck. You could take the deck a multitude of ways and, have all the fun with Ghave here, or Ghave. So let me know what you think about the deck. This has been a revisit of a classic OG commander from the Commander Precons. And this has been, it's about a $36 budget deck, so it's still within like the $40 or so you would pay for this whole deck. And I truly feel like it can hang with most pods. If you upgrade the deck a little bit, put $50 to $100 into the deck, you could really punch above your bracket level, and you could really hurt some people, make them sad, which I hope you do. I hope you build the deck, I hope you have fun with the deck, and I hope you comment down below if you do this. Let me know, please, and let me know your results. I enjoy getting some kind of sick, sadistic glee when the decks I've designed and built, people are playing, and they're going, I had fun. Even if they die, like our good friend Ghave, who is in one of our live gameplay videos. He's jokingly called Target Practice. We're working on a better nickname. So if you have a nickname for Ghave, let him know in the comments below. He's a very good guy. But when he doesn't win, he gets so happy knowing he was the villain. He was the problem. You had to kill him or die. And it's usually because of a deck he had that I built or helped him modify and tweak, and he just has so much fun with it. And personally, as a deck builder, I love that. So if you build this deck, please let me know, and let me know how it does. Leave me all the comments, leave me all the love. I can't do this without you guys. If that goes true for any of my decks. If you build any of the decks I have on my list, here, or everywhere, let me know how they work, because I know how they work in my meta. How do they work in your meta? I've been the Buddha Dragon. Don't forget, rub that belly for mana. Leave me some likes, some shares, some subscribes. Please help me break 200 now. And I'll see you all in the next game. Don't forget, rub that belly for mana, and may all your games be filled with magic.